Aaron Rodgers has been a hot topic in discussions about the future of the New York Jets, and it's becoming increasingly obvious that his time with the team could be coming to a close. When the Jets traded for the future Hall of Famer in 2023, it was seen as a game-changer that would shift the franchise's fortunes. However, things took a tragic turn early in the season when Rodgers tore his Achilles just a few plays into his first game. The excitement surrounding his arrival quickly faded into frustration, and now, as the team struggles through another disappointing season, uncertainty is starting to take over. After a rough start to the 2024 season, owner Woody Johnson has made it clear that he's not happy with the team's performance, especially Rodgers' underwhelming results. After the fourth game of the season, which saw a lackluster effort against the Denver Broncos, Johnson reportedly wanted Rodgers benched. This move has sparked a rift within the organization, leading to the firing of head coach Robert Saleh and general manager Joe Douglas. With a 3-8 record and Rodgers' performance failing to meet expectations, the team is facing an offseason full of tough decisions. One of the biggest questions is whether Rodgers will remain in New York or if the Jets will part ways with him entirely. If the Jets do decide to move on from Rodgers, they'll be left with a hefty $49 million contract on their hands. This leaves them with a difficult choice: either gamble on a young quarterback prospect or reload the roster with another veteran quarterback in hopes of turning things around. For Jets fans who once believed Rodgers was their long-awaited savior, the reality has been a harsh one. Now, they find themselves asking if this gamble was worth it, and what the future holds for the team without him. There's already chatter about potential replacements. A mock draft from Pro Football Focus suggests the Jets could hold the 7th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, and they might choose Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe. Milroe has impressed with his dual-threat ability and solid PFF passing grade, but selecting him would raise some big questions. Could the Jets provide the stability Milroe needs to develop properly? Or will they fall into the same trap they did with previous quarterbacks like Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson, who struggled due to a lack of support and consistent coaching? Milroe's situation in New York could mirror past failures if the team doesn't get things right this time. If the Jets do opt for Milroe, analysts suggest they should take a cautious approach. Keeping a veteran like Tyrod Taylor around could help guide Milroe through his rookie season, giving him time to develop without being thrust into the spotlight too soon. However, with the Jets' fanbase growing impatient and demanding immediate results, the team might not have the luxury of waiting. The pressure for quick improvement could force the Jets to act more aggressively, but how much patience will they have in a season that's already spiraling? Meanwhile, Rodgers hasn't ruled out continuing his career just yet. His comments on his future have been cryptic, leaving everyone guessing. In a recent interview, he acknowledged the uncertainty surrounding his next steps, noting that both the changes within the organization and his own physical health will play a big role in his decision-making. Football life is interesting because there are no guarantees, he said. With so many factors out of his control, Rodgers seems to be taking a more laid-back approach, suggesting he'll let the future unfold on its own. Interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich has been vocal about his support for Rodgers, stating that as long as Rodgers is healthy, he will remain the starter. Ulbrich mentioned that Rodgers is feeling better now than he has in weeks, showing signs of improvement after the team's bye week. Despite all the setbacks, Rodgers has shown glimpses of his former self, and the coaching staff is hopeful that he can still deliver in the final stretch of the season. But the situation is more complicated than just his health or performance on the field. It's also about his long-term commitment to the team. The 40-year-old quarterback has hinted that his decision to return for 2025 will depend on whether the Jets' new leadership aligns with his vision for the future. "This is my first option," Rodgers said, "but there has to be mutual interest." For now, the Jets are stuck in a holding pattern. With their playoff hopes all but dashed, they're focused on evaluating their roster and determining what needs to be done in the offseason. Rodgers' potential departure adds another layer of uncertainty to an already complicated situation. Fans are left wondering whether the Jets will go after a big-name quarterback like Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward in the draft, or whether they'll pursue a veteran in free agency to try and stay competitive. With talent still present on both sides of the ball, the team will need to make strategic decisions that could define the franchise for years to come. Rodgers' future may still be in limbo, but when healthy, he's shown he still has the tools to be a game-changer. His arm strength and accuracy haven't diminished, and if the Jets can find the right pieces around him, there's still hope for a turnaround. However, his recurring injuries have raised questions about whether he can keep up with the physical demands of an entire NFL season, especially at his age. In a recent interview, Rodgers acknowledged the toll the game has taken on his body. "It's not just about playing football," he said. "It's about playing it at a high level, and when you're not physically at your best, it changes everything." The Jets front office has much more to focus on than just the quarterback position. The firings of Saleh and Douglas signal a complete organizational overhaul, and with the team now searching for a new head coach and general manager, their top priority will be fixing long-standing issues. The offensive line has been a consistent weak point, failing to provide adequate protection for their quarterbacks. On top of that, the running game has been inconsistent at best. Addressing these fundamental problems, along with Rodgers' uncertain future, makes the upcoming offseason one of the most crucial in the franchise's history. Despite the challenges, there's still potential for a rebound. Rodgers has voiced his support for Ulbrich, suggesting that a stable coaching staff could convince him to stay in New York. But even with Rodgers back in the fold, the Jets will have their work cut out for them. They're in a highly competitive AFC East, with teams like the Buffalo Bills, Miami Dolphins, and New England Patriots all looking stronger with each passing season. If Rodgers decides to leave, the Jets could go for a full rebuild, focusing on developing younger players and planning for the long term rather than chasing short-term success. Whether Rodgers stays or leaves, the Jets' decisions in the next few months will shape their future. If Rodgers returns, the key will be whether he's willing to adapt to the changing landscape of the NFL. At 40, will he embrace a more modern offensive approach, or will he cling to his old habits? His situation draws comparisons to Peyton Manning in 2015, when Manning's physical decline and reluctance to change his playing style eventually contributed to his downfall. The Jets will need to decide if they can push Rodgers out of his comfort zone and get the most out of him in his final years. The comparison to Peyton Manning's 2015 season is particularly relevant, as Manning's struggles were compounded by his resistance to a new offensive system. In Manning's case, he disliked Gary Kubiak's offense, which demanded more mobility and different play-action techniques, and he was more comfortable with a shotgun-heavy approach. Rodgers, in a similar way, appears hesitant to embrace modern offensive trends, favoring a style that's becoming less effective in today's fast-paced NFL. The Jets need an offensive coordinator who can challenge him and help evolve his game, pushing him to adjust to today's dynamic play, calling styles if he's to succeed in the later stages of his career. One of the most pressing issues is Rodgers' relationship with Nathaniel Hackett, the Jets' offensive coordinator. While Hackett and Rodgers share a long history, their partnership hasn't exactly set the world on fire. Hackett may be a great friend, but friendship alone can't fuel a high-performing offense. If Rodgers is serious about continuing his career at a high level, he needs an offensive coordinator who will push him out of his comfort zone. Without that push, it's hard to see Rodgers thriving in the current environment, especially with the Jets' season hanging by a thread. As the offseason approaches, the Jets face a critical crossroads. Whether Rodgers stays, retires, or moves to another team, his time in New York will likely be remembered as a period of unfulfilled expectations. For the Jets, the offseason is an opportunity to reset, redefine their identity, and make bold decisions that could shape their future for years to come. Will they continue to cling to their old ways, or will they embrace change and turn the page to a new chapter? The coming months will determine the course of the franchise. Will they rise to the challenge, or will they remain stuck in the cycle of underachievement? The next move is theirs. So what's next for Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets? Will the Jets hold on to their aging quarterback for another season, or will they part ways and start fresh with a new vision for the future? The stakes are high, and the upcoming offseason is going to be a make-or-break moment for this franchise. From the uncertain future of Rodgers to the critical decisions about the coaching staff and front office, the Jets are at a crossroads that could define their trajectory for years to come. But here's the big question for Jets fans: do you believe Rodgers still has what it takes to turn things around? Or is it time for the team to pivot to a new direction? Could they finally build around a young quarterback like Jalen Milroe and avoid repeating the mistakes of the past? Or will they take another shot with a veteran leader? Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your take on what the Jets should do next. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more insights into the NFL, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated with all the latest news and analysis. We're in for an exciting and potentially unpredictable offseason, and I'll be here to keep you in the loop every step of the way. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.